Amen. Alright, man, hotel family. Shalom to my Hebrew brothers, my Israelite brothers, and just, what's up, peace to my boy Ricky. We back at it once again. I'm not gonna waste too much time. I know y'all saw the title of this one. We dealing with this subject of the Hyksos, or the Hyksos, the Israelites of the Bible. So real quick, I'm gonna just, like I always like to do, I'm gonna let everybody say their name, give a little brief intro, but y'all know me, Matthew Daniels, aka Ampu, aka the Chosen Few. I'm saying the story of the Hyksos is absolutely not the story of the Israelites, and my basic premise is maybe it's their mythology, maybe they're mythologizing that story of the Hyksos, but that story in the Bible is in no way the story of the Hyksos. That story is not real, and I'm just passing it to my brothers so we can get this thing going.
This Rick, free mind, free spirit. I'm agreeing with Matt. I'm saying that the Hyksos were not Israelites, and that's pretty much it.
You know what it says, Koi, shalom to the world, man. What I want to say about the Hyksos is that the Hyksos is not a race of people. It's a title given to people from a certain region. And so there is no way we can definitely say that Israelites could not have been classified as Hyksos.
Shalom, my brothers and sisters, kings and queens. This is G-Rod. I'm taking the same position as Koi, that the Hyksos people had their affiliations with Kemet, and Israelites had their affiliations with Kemet. And my brother Matt and my brother Rick is going to bring some hot stuff out. Hot stuff. So most definitely, peace and blessings, family. Y'all tune in. We're going to get this work.
All right, any one of y'all want to go first? State y'all premise or put out some information?
Well, I'm not going to be shy about it. It's without a shadow of a doubt. Genesis and Exodus speaks about Israelites coming into Kemet, and Exodus speaks about Israelites leaving Kemet. The only issue with reading that text is if you're reading it, but you're not getting the details. And my boy Matt and my boy Ricky is going to break down some of the details to refute the Genesis and Exodus story. I'm going to stick and stay on the mountain of evidence and in the foundation that Kemet and Israel had an issue. Kemet and Israel went to war with each other. Kemet and Israel know each other. So right off the top, there's evidence that Israel existed during the time of ancient Kemet. Right off the top, the Hyksos existed during a time of Kemet. So what are the Hyksos? What are the Israelites? What are the Hebrews? What are the Asiatics? When we start asking these questions, we're going to have a burger or a gumbo with all of the ingredients inside this one pot. So Asiatics is, in my opinion, a group of people that was mixed in with what they would call the Hyksos people that came into Kemet.
Okay. I should have brought my Bible, man. But
I got it on the phone. We got it, baby.
No, mine.
Your Bible.
Mine. It specifically says, clear as day. I should have brought it. I was in a rush, but it specifically says there is no evidence of Israel in Egypt. So
you need to toss that Bible.
Okay, so I need to know where's the evidence at that you speak
Man up
of.
still.
Now, so see that still says that Egypt had an encounter with Israel in northern Canaan. That's a whole desert away, all the way at the top. It is far from Egypt. It's not in Egypt.
Let me ask you
Which
this question.
solidifies that they were in the land of Canaan when Egypt came and so-called wiped them out, right?
Well, I just know that the only evidence shows that Egyptian troops they encountered Israel, a group of people called Israel in northern Canaan.
Can I ask you, where was the group of people named Israel originated from?
I don't know.
Can I ask you another question? Was Egypt the royal power at that time?
Yeah.
So would it be like almost being like America?
No.
At this time?
No.
Okay, so when you describe a royal power, would you consider that most communities and groups of people had to deal with Egypt at some time, where the trading whether war, whether peace, they had to go through Egypt since it was an enormous power during that time?
I gotta see evidence of that.
That it was an enormous power?
Now I know it was an enormous power, but
Do you believe that Egypt had ties and dealings with communities?
what I want to know is where's the evidence that Israel was in Egypt?
Okay.
Yeah, because
That's what I need to know.
because he threw in the Myrna Patah Stele. Okay, now it is plenty of scholars who says that the word Israel, denoting the group of people that Myrna Patah had wars with, is actually on that stele. Now I'm not here to dispute that, and I will discuss that and I will talk about it. But what I want to say is that stele, that time of Myrna Patah came about at least a good 200 to 300 years after the Hyksos was expelled. So we can't use the Myrna Patah Stele to say that these Hyksos were Israelites, and the story of the Hyksos is the same story of the Israelites being in Egypt as found in the Bible. That's not evidence pertaining to what my brother was asking about. We're talking about evidence that these Israelites were the Hyksos and that they were in Egypt as the Hyksos doing what the Hyksos was doing. The Myrna Patah Stele does not prove that.
Can I ask you a question, Ricky? How exactly would you define the word Hyksos?
But before you do that, I just need you to answer mine.
Okay,
Why?
I'm
Just
sorry,
show
go
me-
ahead. One
show
more time. Ask the
show
question
me-
for the people.
I mean, is there any evidence of Israel in Egypt and where
There
is
is no evidence of Israel being in Egypt as a nation. There's evidence of Israel coming into Egypt and leaving as a nation, being established somewhere outside of Egypt. But there is no evidence that an established group of people named the Israelites came into Egypt. But it is evidence that an established group of people left Egypt and became the nation as we know as Israelites. The Bible tells you about a family coming into Egypt, not a nation. A family went into Egypt, and next time you read about this family, you read about them being a giant nation outside of Egypt. And as the brother just said, the stele testifies that it was a nation. But that's why I asked you, where did it originate from? Where did the Israelites originate from? We have to say they originated from a family. That's without question. The family went in, a nation came out.
Okay, I want to touch on that because we're acting like, and I know my brother knew I was gonna go here, and yes I am.
Come
We're
on
acting
with it,
like
brother.
We're acting like we don't have names. We're acting like we don't have dates. So what I want the people to think about, what I want y'all to think about, now really hear what I'm saying. Really hear what I'm saying. In the Bible, when the Exodus supposedly occurred, we had a man named Moses, according to the Bible, that was raised in Pharaoh's house.
Okay.
He went to Pharaoh, telling Pharaoh to let his people go.
Yeah.
Right? And, through the plagues and et cetera, Moses then led the Israelites out as an Exodus.
Yes.
Now, what people will try to do is equate this to the expulsion of the Hyksos. So what I'm telling you is, it was a man named Amos the First who expelled the Hyksos. And when he expelled the Hyksos, it was a Pharaoh Hyksos ruler in Avaris named Apepi that he kicked out. So I don't see how Moses can be going to Pharaoh to ask Pharaoh to let his people go, and they are being enslaved by the Egyptians, while at the same time it's an actual Hyksos ruling in Avaris immediately before they got kicked out. Are we saying that the Hyksos are the Israelites that was being oppressed, and the Hyksos was the Pharaoh Apepi that was oppressing them? How do you make this make sense? If Apepi was the Pharaoh of the expulsion, how are you blaming the Egyptians for enslaving you?
Now, if we was watching a Zion Lex video, you hear boom. That's a great point. He brings up a great point. And the one thing I said in the beginning of the video, I don't know if he actually caught it, but dates and names and the dynasties is Matt's specialty. So I'm not going to put up much of a fight when it comes to that. I will say that we are reading this Egyptian and who read text in English, there's no doubt in my mind no one named Moses was walking around. Named Moses. That does not mean the figure like Moses existed during that time. Now, it's no difference than in Israel during the New Testament time. There was no one named Jesus walking around. There was a figure such as Jesus walking around, but there was no one named Jesus, named Paul, named Matthew. These are the names that was given to us in our particular language. Now, in order for me to even counter that, I would have to learn the meta language. I would have to dig into the Egyptian timeline that I think we all can agree got holes in it. We got missing kings, missing this, missing that. We got holes in the Egyptian timeline.
But we know a Pepi.
We do know a Pepi.
Where in the Bible does it talk about Israelites oppressing Egyptians in their own land? Where in the Bible do you find this?
Do it talk about Egyptians oppressing Israelites?
No, Israelites oppressing the Egyptians in their own land. See, the Bible tries to say that the Israelites was being oppressed. But I'm saying, if the documentation say that the Hyksos was doing the oppression, how is the Israelites the Hyksos? Show me the Israelites oppressing the Egyptians in their own land.
Brother, Hyksos does not determine a race. That's what
No,
I'm saying.
show me the Israelites in the Bible. I want to see if these stories are the same. Show me the Israelites in the Bible oppressing the Egyptians in their own land.
Now let me ask you this.
Wait a minute. I want to hear this.
It's not there.
So if that's not there, how are these two stories the same?
But hold on.
Watch what I'm saying.
Go ahead,
saying
Corey.
that Hyksos is a label. Hyksos is just a label. It's like saying black. Black don't apply if you go to Saudi Arabia and you say, oh, the black people. What people? What do you mean? Black. What? Because there's all different shades of different
So
kinds.
show me in the Bible Asiatics or whoever show me anybody oppressing them at that time. Well, show me anybody in the Bible at the time where
being
you guys say y'all was
Egyptians?
oppressing the Egyptians is what I'm saying. Show me any Asiatic in the Bible at that time oppressing the Egyptians. Let's see if those stories the same.
I got your question.
I'm treating this like a crime scene because I can't show you Israel. I can only show you the virus. I can only show you Semitic names and Semitic culture and stuff in Egypt, in ancient Egypt. I don't know the dates.
Wait a second. Hold on, do you agree with that? That it was Semitic names in a virus and Semitic names in
styles of the houses
Kemet?
and stuff, the 4-room houses and all that kind of stuff. I can show you that in Kemet. But what I'm saying, we have to treat this like a timeline. If the Menoptah Stela in 1250 BC, right, says the name Israel, well, the name Israel was an established name. Now we go back to the Hyksos being expelled. What's that? 1570, 15 something BC. So if Hyksos being expelled, I'm not saying the Hyksos being expelled is the Exodus. What I'm saying is the lines of communication was opened up between Asiatic and Kemetic at that time. So them leaving might not have had nothing to do with the Moses story, but the route for communication was open for that family to be able to go in. That's all I'm saying. I'm going from the Menoptah and I'm going backwards, and it's only 300-400 years.
Now let me
Israel
ask you.
got formed somewhere in that time.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that may have been some history in the Kemetic history that just wasn't recorded?
Of course, it's missing history that was not recorded.
No, hold on.
Kemetic
And the
story.
reason I'm asking you
Yes,
that is
that's
because
true.
you said that they kicked them out, right?
Yes.
Do you think they friendly kicked them out? Like,
No, it was a war.
do you think it took a long time for that war? Do
It
you
was
think that
several
war was
generations.
brewing?
It was several generations.
So
worth
during
of
that
war.
generations of many different, during those many generations before the big bang of the war, what do you think was going on in a Kemetic land? In other words, if we get ready to go to war with, for an example, the Jamaicans,
Glad you asked that.
and let's say we go to war 15 years from now, and we have a problem today, and it takes 15 years for us to say, you know what, go ahead, fly the planes. Do you think that during that time, the American people would start looking at the Jamaican people with hostility and start oppressing and treating them differently the same way American people do with Mexican immigrants since the Trump administration has been in? No, we're not at war with the Mexicans, but the American people are oppressing the Mexican illegal immigrants at a rate a lot higher than we have ever seen during this time. We now, since the Trump administration has been in, do not like, and we also oppress the Mexican illegal immigrants. We loved them before Trump came in, but since Trump been in these last 3 years, it's been wall. We hate them. We want them out. We don't want them. We don't like them. And the oppression has kicked in. Do you feel like that same oppression could have possibly been going on, as they describe it, during the Kemetic and Hebraic time period? Family.
I'm gonna give him a round of applause, because I don't have to think what was going on, because what they don't have, I do have.
Hey,
I do
man.
have documentation of that time from the Egyptian side. I know the Bible don't talk about what we're talking about, and that's my ultimate point. But what I wanna show y'all, I got this one book. It's called Writings from Ancient Egypt, and all it is it takes certain papyrus scrolls and stelae, and it translates it into English so that we can have it here today. Now, one of the pharaohs, the older brother of Amos the first, who kicked the Hyksos out, was a man by the name of Kamos. He fought the Hyksos as well, but unfortunately he lost his life while doing so. So I just want to read a small passage from the Kamos Stela, what they document, like primary source documentation from that time, and I'm going to show how this is relevant to the conversation. Okay. He says, a cowardly report reaches me from inside your town. You have been pushed back at your army side. He's talking to the Hyksos Pharaoh and the Hyksos armies. Your mouth is ungenerous in making me, Kamos, the Egyptian, a mere chief, while you are a ruler, saying that the Hyksos was claiming himself to be a ruler, thus claiming for yourself what is stolen, which will be your downfall. So we have primary. Wait a minute.
Read that last sentence one more time.
What is stolen,
so
and
saying,
which will be your downfall.
I'm not going to interrupt you. I just want to understand. Is that you're saying that the Hyksos is stealing from the Egyptians?
I'm saying they stole the rulership. Wasn't no Hyksos supposed to be no pharaoh in Egypt?
Oh, okay, I got you.
So what I'm saying is, these guys have already admitted. Now they may want to try to take it back. They've already admitted they can prove no Israelite oppression in Egypt at that time. But what I've just shown you is proof of Egyptians getting oppressed by these Hyksos at that time. So it's only one of two things they can do. Either they're gonna have to just admit, well, they have to do this. Either they're going to admit that this story in the Bible of the Israelites being oppressed in Egypt is not the same story as the Hyksos, or they're gonna have to switch it up and say, well, you know what, the Israelites, we weren't oppressed in Egypt. Actually, we was in there pillaging, plundering, robbing, and stealing, and we was doing the oppression.
Now let me ask you this: is there something in there where the notes, Coy, you have your Bible? Is there something in the Exodus record that denotes that the people that's leaving Kemet is actually going to acquire and get the Egyptian gold? So,
great substance.
as a matter, so when these Israelites left, I'm gonna call them Israelites, Hyksos, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it that group according to the biblical text. Left Kemet, did they leave empty-handed? What did they leave with according to the Hebraic text? Who did it belong to?
It belonged to the Egyptians.
Now Matt just read a piece in the book, and that piece said that the Hyksos stole an election. In other words, they came into power. Would you agree that the Hyksos came into power and they wasn't supposed to? So, could you explain that when I asked you to read over again? They came into power.
What was stolen, which will be the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you ain't going for it.
What Matt just said is totally opposite of what the Bible says. In Exodus verse 13, the first chapter, verse 13, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. That don't sound like no kind of rulership.
Let me throw this in here. This is just a supposition. Watch this. Okay, because when we talk about Hyksos, we talk about Hyksos rulership, correct? Those in rulership, the Pharaoh and all the families and whatever, some mixed Semitic people. Okay, now we know the Israelites could have been thrown off into that mix of people, into that category of people. But watch this. If my brother, like my brother said, if America kicked out all the Mexican Americans today, who's going to do all the hard labor? America's going to have to get back out there and do all the hard labor. So you mean to tell me there were no Semitic people that might have stayed behind? And that's kind of what we're getting at. Hyksos doesn't necessarily denote, or Israelites doesn't necessarily denote the Hyksos rulers. We're just saying that Israelites living in Canaan could have been labeled Hyksos. But just because they kicked out the rulers, well, these scragglers weren't doing nothing wrong. They're just a family of people working. So why kick them out?
So by this logic, now we're saying the Israelites are Hyksos, Canaanites are Hyksos,
Yes.
Phoenicians are Hyksos.
Anyone that came
Now
into
everybody, this is the crazy part about it, man. This is the crazy part about it. I understand what the term Hyksos can denote, but we got actual history. Now the brothers want to be Hyksos because they say the Hyksos was actually in Egypt, so they can say, hey, if the Israelites was the Hyksos, then it proves we were in Egypt. But then when I show you the debauchery that was going on, when I show you the negatives that the Hyksos was doing, oh, we wasn't those Hyksos, we was the other Hyksos. And then, wait a minute, and then when I ask you, well, okay, were you the Hyksos that was being oppressed by the Hyksos because the Hyksos was doing some oppression? You say, no, we wasn't being oppressed by the Hyksos, neither we was being oppressed by the Israelites. So which Hyksos were you?
No,
were you the Hyksos that was being
Egyptians?
Were you the Hyksos that was being oppressed, or were you the Hyksos that was doing the oppression, or were you no Hyksos at all?
Both.
So you was being oppressed by Hyksos, you wasn't being oppressed by an Egyptian, and that goes against the Bible
It
again.
could be labeled as Hyksos being oppressed.
By who?
Watch this. If all those people got kicked out in 1570 or so, but there was scragglers left, we was going to get treated like crap after 9/11.
So who oppressed you?
The Egyptians. Who took over after the last Hyksos ruler? I don't know
That's
his
what I'm
name.
saying.
Who took over?
But if y'all left with the Hyksos,
I
who?
just-
But this is what I'm saying. If the Exodus is the expulsion, I don't want to talk about what happened after the Hyksos got expelled, because according to the Bible, y'all not even there no more. So what I'm saying is, if before the expulsion, if y'all saying that y'all was being oppressed in the area where the Hyksos was doing the oppression, how does this make sense?
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, let's deal with that. How does it make
We're
sense?
dealing with 300-400 years. That's the point.
Exactly.
Verse?
I keep no.
Exactly. Let me ask you
between
this.
The so-called expulsion of the Hyksos.
No,
and-
because
and-
Joseph
Okay,
went in.
let's tie it down. What Pharaoh did Moses talk to? And y'all know I had to go here.
No, but
Wait a
second.
minute, no, wait a minute. Y'all know all this about being the Hyksos, and the Hyksos was the Hittites, and the Hyksos was the, you know, all of that.
Because
What
Hyksos just
Pharaoh?
been immigrants.
So you don't know
I
what
know
Pharaoh,
Hyksos is
so you don't know what
Western
Pharaoh he
Semitic.
talked to,
I don't
right?
know nothing about
No, it don't.
So-
It don't give a name.
But you gonna tell me that he wasn't? How you know he wasn't talking to the Hyksos Pharaoh of Pepi or the Hyksos Pharaoh Kanun? How do you know that? How you gonna search
to
me?
That one Pharaoh died. He had to go away and wait for that Pharaoh to
Who?
die.
How do you know this?
I base it on what I read.
That's
Hey,
the
If
limit.
you deal with the Midrash, I don't know his name. They give it some other name, but the Midrash says the Pharaoh that Moses left and went to the wilderness, wait for him to die. That was the brother that ruled from age 6 to 100. I don't know. If you know who I'm talking about, then you know the name.
Now, I want y'all to say it.
I don't know.
No.
That's what
Wait a
I'm
second.
saying. I only know
Wait a
what's
second.
up in here.
Let's deal with some foundational truths. You said that Israel. I'm saying Israel came in at a certain time, right? I'm saying they came in, then they got kicked out. So during that time period, it was over a couple of 100 years. African Americans have been here for how long? Let's just go with the slavery narrative since 1619. When we got here, did we come over here as merchants, or did we come over here oppressed or as slaves? Are we merchants or slaves now? So a story of a group of people can change within the years. If you give it enough time, we went from slave to president in America. So there's no doubt about it. Just because you read one passage that says that the Hyksos was oppressing does not mean that they was not being oppressed at one point in time. We're dealing with a history according to the Bible, which only gives you a few chapters, but it's breaking down hundreds of years of history. So I can show you a relief from a tomb where it got the Asiatics, which we would consider to be the Hebrews, as slaves and as merchants.
So how you know those? that tomb depiction, how you know that wasn't a Phoenician? Because you just told me the Hyksos was Phoenician, and they was Hittite, and they was Canaanite. How you know it was an Israelite?
The definition of a
So,
Hebrew
how do you know
during that time was called Asiatics.
I'm saying, how are you saying that was an Israelite coming in?
What you mean? How I saying?
Wait, no. What you heard?
You said the definition of the Hebrew was
The
Asiatic.
You hear that?
People
You hear that
called
now? It ain't Abraham no more.
No.
That's
The
a whole
people.
other topic.
You know what I'm saying? The
That's
Egyptian
topic.
people called the Hebrews Asiatics.
Listen
But they
to the
came
leak.
in as Hyksos people.
Okay, listen to the leak. And this what you telling me. Wait a minute, nah, hear me out.
Go ahead. We're going to get that word, Rick.
This
gonna
what
get
he-
that word.
This what he's saying, right? And see, they want to have it every which way but loose. But no, we're gonna tie this thing down. If you don't even know if you're telling me that the Hyksos was multiple races of people, and then you tell me you see a Hyksos coming in on a tomb relief, and then you try to tell me that, see, that's proof that the Israelites came in. I'm gonna say, wait a minute, brother. That could be any one of those Asiatics that you was just talking about.
Wait a second. I'm not saying Asiatics and Hyksos are the same people. No, I didn't. I said that the Hyksos are the immigrants. And in that immigrant pool, you can have different races of people.
Is every Hyksos an Israelite?
No.
So how do you know the Hyksos on the wall is an Israelite?
Because it's defined as an Asiatic.
Is every Asiatic an Israelite?
What happened to them?
No. Is every Asiatic an Israelite?
That's
Yes
what
or
I'm
no?
asking.
Is
Yeah.
every Asiatic an Israelite?
The Asiatics in the Kemet time was Hebrews.
Every
Yeah.
Asiatic? No.
How? What's making you say that?
What makes you think of what you mean?
No.
Okay, no,
You
I
just
wanna
said
ask
a
you.
bold
Is
statement.
every Asiatic an Israelite, brother? Then I know he on your side, but come on.
No, because that Asiatic is basically what we call Semitic.
Thank you.
So every Semitic person
Thank
is not
you.
an Israelite.
So you can't
okay,
say
yeah,
just
yeah.
because
No, I
it's
agree
an
with-
Asiatic.
I agree with Carl's statement.
Okay, so now I'm glad you agreed. So now we know every Asiatic ain't an Israelite. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm asking you again. What you see on that tomb relief, how do you know that's an Israelite?
How you know it's not?
I'm asking you. You making the claim.
This is
But
what I saw, and maybe it's just,
No, he gotta answer
Okay,
that.
go ahead, brother.
At least
Go
say
ahead.
you don't know.
No, I'm saying that there's no possible way to prove either side.
So
Then how
so
you
I'm
gonna
gonna
say-
strict that from the record. We not gonna say that now you can finish it out.
But you have not disproved that those was not Hebrews.
But you didn't prove it either.
But you haven't
Yes, I have.
disproved it.
Yes, it's no record of them being called Hebrews. Not in your record and not in my record.
What you mean there's no record?
There's no record.
Of the Asiatics being called
It's definitely
Hebrews?
not in here.
Yeah, it's definitely not in
It's
there.
not in here because this is
Asiatic,
saying
man.
totally opposite from what's
Totally
written
opposite.
in the
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, man, for the camera.
Look, he
How
trying
many-
to set me up. He set me up, family.
How many groups of people did the Kemet people consider to be people? How many groups were there?
There's plenty of groups of people.
No.
Races.
As far as races, how many groups?
Oh,
of
they classified them in like 4 different ways. On one
Okay,
of the
4
release
different
I saw.
ways. Okay, in one of the release. So, according to the Egyptian record, it was only 4 different groups of people, right?
4 different races that
Do
they
you know these
interacted
races?
with. It was
Could you break it down for 2019 terms?
Nubians.
Which would
When
be
they were talking about other Africans,
okay.
or people outside of Egypt down low, you know what
Okay.
I mean? To the south of Egypt, they classified themselves. They saw themselves as being the Egyptian people.
Which would be cousins to the Nubians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They had something that the word I saw, it was kind of like Tomhu, who
Okay.
we would probably denote as probably like Europeans, and then
Okay.
they had like the Amu, which was like the Asiatic people.
Okay. Go.
Yeah.
As my boy Zion said, boom.
Yeah.
So the Asiatic people, and okay, we know they wasn't European, right? That we know they wasn't European.
I don't believe
right?
so.
Okay, we know that they wasn't Egyptian, and we know they wasn't Nubian.
No
But they were
argument
Semitic people, right?
If that's what you want to say, Semitic,
Okay,
I don't
so-
argue with that.
Okay, so Israel, would you consider them to be a Semitic people?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a group of Semitic people in Kemet, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you would call them
came in-
Asiatics, right?
Asiatics came into
Okay.
Kemet all the time.
Okay,
Yes.
so with those groups of people called the Asiatics coming into Kemet, would you consider those group of people, since they're not pure Egyptians or even cousins of the Egyptians, what would you consider? Would you consider them immigrants, such as the Hyksos?
Yeah, they were foreigners. They were
Okay, they was foreigners. So the Semitic people, now we gluing these papers together. Semitic people are foreigners that came into Kemet, right?
Okay, yes.
And they were called Asiatics, right?
Yes.
Then they got kicked out of Kemet, right?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this. What happened to those people when they got kicked out of Kemet? Did they go to a land called Israel? I'm gonna screw this phone to the other side. Did they go into Israel?
There was no Israel.
But did a group of Hyksos people go into Israel?
Show me what happened to them after they left.
I'm going by the Egyptian.
I'm asking you.
I'm going by the Kemetic.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Now,
Show
which
me what
record
happened
you want me to go by? You want me to go by the Egyptian or the biblical record?
Show me what happened.
The biblical record is they went into Israel and became a nation.
Went in the land of Canaan, like Menotar still said, where they found them.
That's when you call them the Israelites.
That's when you call them Israel. They
Well, then how you gonna call them Israelites before they came?
Because they wasn't Israel.
Because you gotta understand, the Bible is being written by someone that is hundreds of years.
It's
hundreds of years after.
The Hyksos that came
What we're saying is,
Israelites.
what we're
Now
saying,
you saying when they left, they became Israelites.
Because the reason I'm saying that
they
is
recognized them as a nation of Israel while they were in. Nobody recognizes the Black Panther. The American government, the federal government, does not recognize the Black Panther Party. It might recognize the KKK. It don't recognize the new Black Panther Party. It don't recognize the Nation of Islam. No matter how many gatherings y'all have and how many mosques, y'all are not recognized as a power. Now, if you get up, kick butt and leave, or whatever happens and you leave, now you consider power.
Okay.
Those
now.